نحمده ونصلي وسلم على رسوله الكريم سيدنا ونبينا وشفينا وحبيبنا وسندنا ومولانا محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين. سبحانك لا علم لنا إلا ما علمتنا إنك أنت العليم الحكيم. اللهم رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي. إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما. اللهم صل وسلم على سيدنا محمد وعلى آل سيدنا محمد وبارك وسلم. قال الله تعالى في القرآن المجيد والفرقان الحميد بعد أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. شهر رمضان الذي أنزل فيه القرآن هدى للناس وبينات من الهدى والفرقان. صدق الله مولانا العظيم وصدق رسوله النبي الكريم ونحن على ذلك لمن الشاهدين والشاكرين والحمد لله رب العالمين. Most honorable, respected brothers, elders, mothers, sisters, and dear listeners, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh. Tonight we look at what was recited in the Taraweeh last night, the second Taraweeh, in which the third juz, half of it was recited, the second juz was completed, so 2.5 juz of the Quran have already been completed. By tonight, within the first 8 rakats, we have completed 1/10 of the Quran. That's how quick we are moving. We are already coming close to the end of our second fast for this month. Time is flying. Time is not going to wait for anyone. We need to make sure that we are on top of our ibadat. Just for 1 month, work really hard, strive, make effort. How we make effort and sacrifice, and when it comes to the Boxing Day sales, we'll get boxed up also in the shops and, end up freezing there in the sales, but just to get as maximum as we can. Some people that I know of, I've heard about in the stories, Ajib, they'll go there, they'll just grab this, that, anything, and they'll just pay for it. And then when they go home, then they look through everything. Oh, this is not right size, not the right color, this is not like this is not like that. By the time they finish, they're left with 1 or 2 items. By the time they finish, left with 1 or 2 items. And I've seen so many times, even when local supermarkets have sales on at their stores, people will go crazy just to buy something. Now it's 20p cheaper. Now, but for that 20p, now you bought 1 whole year's supply out. Literally. Sometimes it's even less than that. If you really look around, you'll find cheaper somewhere else. Similarly, when it comes to the month of Ramadan, it's Allah's sale is on now. There's no big flashing lights. Maybe we should put up big flashing lights. Allah's sale now on. And then you'll find that the masajid will be full and people will be reciting Quran and so forth. The idea is that we must get maximum benefit from this month. That's what Allah wants from you and me. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us this opportunity to listen to our beautiful huffaz reciting the Quran for us. They may not have, sometimes we only want to go where the qaris read with a beautiful tune. Then even if that qari or so-called qari is reading, but he is not reading correctly, then tajweed rules are missed out, and I've seen some of that. There was one guy that, I think he's passed away now, Allah fill his qabr with nur. Whenever he used to read, people used to love his reading. And those were all those people that didn't know anything about tajweed rulings. Those that knew about tajweed rulings, they used to rant when they used to read salah behind him, because he used to just make up the rules because it sounded nice. The real thing is, what is Allah Ta'ala speaking to us about? And last night in the Taraweeh, we look at Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, لَيْسَ الْبِرَّ أَن تُوَلُّوا وُجُوهَكُمْ قِبَلَ الْمَشْرِقِ وَالْمَغْرِبِ وَلَكِنَّ الْبِرَّ مَنْ آمَنَ بِاللَّهِ وَالْيَوْمِ الْآخِرِ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala speaks about, right at the beginning of the second para in the first quarter, that good deeds is not just turning this way and that way and thinking I'm worshipping Allah Ta'ala. But there's a lot of good deeds, a lot of things that you need to do that are put together. Someone thinks, oh well, I'm reading my 5 times salah, but that's good enough. By Allah Ta'ala, I'm going to go to Jannah just because of my 5 times salah. Someone else is doing some other good deed, giving out a lot of charity, doing lots of charity work. And they feel that that's good enough. I'm on a righteous path, I'm a righteous person, and now I will go to Jannah. But when it comes to salah, then there is neglect. When it comes to other matters pertaining to our deen, then there is neglect. Then Allah Rabbul Izzati wal Jalal will question us. The idea is that we have to have an action, or rather a share in every good deed that there can be. To whatever extent we can. To whatever extent we can, we should try and do as much good as possible, inshaAllah. وَآتَ الْمَالَ عَلَى حُبِّهِ. Allah Ta'ala speaks about wealth. You know how much you love wealth? Everyone loves wealth. If someone comes to you and says, here's a suitcase full of 20,000 pounds, take it, it's for you. How many people say, no, sorry, bhai, Jazakallah, I've got enough, Allah has loaded me. I've got lots of wealth. Who's going to say no? Everyone say, take it and run before that guy changes his mind. Maybe he's a madman who's just walking around, he just said that to me, let me run for my life. Allah Ta'ala says, in spite of your love for wealth, that you spend it upon those who are in need. The orphans, the yatim, those that don't have parents, those that are living in orphanages, those that are being taken care of by others. Some are not being even taken care of at all. You go to some parts of the world and you look at how sad the situation is. Small children begging. And they're looking after the ones that are even smaller than them because their parents disappeared. Don't know what happened to them. Allah Rabbul Izzati wal Jalal, if Allah has given you a family, you got a job, you got a home, subhanallah, Allah has given you that wealth not just for you to hoard and use for yourself, but rather to spend on others also. In spite of your love for it, you spend it on those that are yatim, the orphans, and not only them, the wil qurba. Sometimes, we have relatives that are in need. But because of our pride and our arrogance, we say, no, I don't want to give them. Let me rather go and give to one of the charities. This family of mine, they don't need the money. They've got TV in their house, they got one car in their house, they got this, they got that. But you don't realize that they bought all of these things at a time when they could afford it. Now they are in need of zakat and you don't want to give them even your sadaqah. They're in need of your fard charity and you don't even want to give them your optional charity. That is why it's very, very important. Allah has blessed us with wealth. He hasn't made some people wealthy so that they can just enjoy their wealth and hoard it. But rather, if He's given someone more, He's given those people more so that they can share and they can spend upon those people who are in need. And when it comes to your family that are in need, by you spending upon them, there is double reward. One is your reward just for spending. You're going to do that anyway. But the other reward, the second reward, is even better because you are spending on your family, and because of that you are enjoying family ties. You don't have to go there and insult them and say, here's 200 pounds worth of groceries I bought from you with my zakat money. Don't insult them. You can just give them the money. You can just give them the groceries and tell them discreetly that, you know what, this is zakat. And people will more often than not, they will appreciate your honesty in telling them that. Those that are truly not liable for zakat will tell you. But then at the same time, you get some people, and this is an issue our madrasa faces, and probably every madrasa that I know of. When it comes to fees, people don't want to pay. Not everyone. Most pay. Most pay up front. Some people will even pay the whole year's fees in advance. Then you'll get those people who don't want to pay, look for any and every excuse not to pay. But this month was only 3 weeks of madrasa. What about that? But what about that time when you won't be charged? We're not going to look at that. What about all the freebies that the child gets in madrasa? What about all the... do you really think a child's madrasa is worth 30 quid a month, 35 quid a month only? When you're prepared to pay for English and maths and science and piano lessons, 20 pounds an hour. But when you got to pay 30 and 40 pounds, this madrasa is a rip-off, man. You're so expensive, buy it, go. There's another madaris, go find a cheapy one. Huh? We're not here to compete. You pay the price, you're happy. You go to a shop, you don't go to Tesco and say, excuse me, you are selling this milk for £1 and 2p. Don't you know that Asda is selling it for 99p? Does anyone say that? No. And sometimes you tell them that, look here, you know what, if you don't pay up, we will have to take, if necessary, take legal action, or we will have to use sadaqah for that. They say, it doesn't matter, use sadaqah, I don't mind. You can use charity for me, yet they are wealthy. And you know what the madrasa does in a case like that? For fear of that sadaqah not being spent correctly, we have to unfortunately write it off as a bad debt. Our tiny little madrasa, you know how much of bad debts we've got? I'm not going to tell you. But I can tell you this much, that it's in the thousands. Tiny little madrasa. I know other madaris, 15, 16, 20,000 pounds of parents not paying fees. And guess what? It's the ones that have the most amount of wealth that are the most conjuice when it comes to paying fees. Those that don't have, those that are, parents are working hard, they got their jobs, some of them doing 2 and 3 jobs. You will find those are the ones that pay their fees, not only timelessly, but they will pay the full amount. The other one, you say, Mali Sahib, I got 3 children in a madrasa, how about a discount? But this is not buy one, get 2 free. But people look for that. When it comes to deen, we look for discount. Subhanallah. When it comes to Allah Rabbul Izzati wal Jalal, when it comes to the masjid, then we want cheap. But then when we go to a toilet, we complain, why are they using cheap toilet roll? Why is this not the Andrex one? Why is this not that branded one? Why is this not like this and that not like that? Whereas we should be looking after our masajid. Very sad that we find that a lot of people from other places will want to be there and support us. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make it easy. That people unfortunately complain when it comes to dini education. And it's something that really bugs me. Those of you that have children that go to school and your child's school says that your child has to wear so and so color and so uniform, do we follow that or not? I know I do. Because that's a ruling of the school. But when it comes to madrasa, parents think it's okay to let my child come with a cloak on and underneath they got their pajamas on. Why must they wear uniform for? They're only coming madrasa. But Allah Ta'ala told you in the Quran, Ya Bani Adam, khudhu zinatakum inda kulli masjid. When you come to any masjid, then you must be dressed beautifully. Here you're sending them with their pajamas. Then their clothing is not, if you look at sometimes the boys, you think, this child comes from a really poor family. The poor parents must be beggars. Meanwhile, you must see the cars they drive. You must see the jobs they have. But their children's clothes, the kurta which was supposed to be full length is now sitting by the knees. The cloak that was supposed to be full length below the ankles is now sitting well above the calves. But when it comes to a wedding, we'll throw 100 and 200 and 300 pounds for one night of clothing. But when it comes to Allah's house, why don't we have Allah Ta'ala's mercy upon us today? Why is there so much of difficulty increasing? Day in and day out, why is there so much of calamities taking place? When the ummah is at its possibly largest today than it ever has been, then why is it the least amount of dua is being accepted by Allah? When there were 313 on the 17th of Ramadhaan in the time of our master, Nabi Kareem sallallahu alayhi wasallam, few humble, heartfelt dua, and they beat an army of 1,000 people. Today, we are close on to 2 billion, and where is our dua going? Do you know that those that are pious, you think, okay, so at least their dua should get accepted. You know why it doesn't get accepted? Because of the nuksan that is around. And what is that nuksan? What is that harm that is around? The sin that is going on. Today a person feels